And that was my little homage to Rodney Smith. Rodney, I love you, man. We gotta play at some point when we see each other at some conventions after the madness of the quarantine. So, Marvel Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game. I didn't even realize it was a love letter game. I saw this little cute game in my friendly local game store. I didn't know anything about it. I was going camping and I was looking for small games. I picked it up. I was happy to discover it was a love letter game with a Marvel theme. So I love love letter, but since I have a ton of sets, there are cases in which you have some sets that really the game is not very different from the basic love set. I'm still gonna buy them because I am a collector that way. I'm just one of those suckers. But I'm happy to report that in Marvel Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game, you actually have some interesting changes in gameplay. The idea is, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, stop me if you heard this, Thanos is coming to town to collect the Infinity Gems and destroy half of everything. Kind of like, I don't like those jobs, half done and half not. But the superheroes are gonna try to stop him. The game is described for 2 players up to 6 players. Really, I would not recommend playing it with less than 3. Why? One player is gonna play Thanos, and Thanos is gonna have his own deck of cards, and then the heroes are gonna use hero cards, so they have a separate deck of cards, already different from other love letter games. And there are many effects of the heroes that influence each other. You select a teammate to do this, select a teammate to do that. We are told in the rulebook, incidentally, that if you're playing with 2 players only, one is Thanos, and the hero player takes 2 turns. So right there, you know that the design has been designed with at least 2 heroes going every time the Thanos goes once. But again, it's not just that. It's interesting that these effects affect each other. I played the game incidentally only with 3 people, so I cannot comment what happens at higher levels, higher numbers of players. I played it with my 2 daughters. They are presently 8 and 10, so you know it can be played with young players, and we liked it very much. Very, very nice game. So, innovation number 1, separate decks of cards. Innovation number 2, a health tracker. You place that arrow there during setup, is always up there, represents the health of the heroes. As for Thanos' health or the health of his side, then it depends on the number of players. The more players there are, the more points, life points so to speak, he starts with. During the game you will use game effects to defeat enemies, and every time you defeat an enemy they lose a life. So if Thanos defeats a hero card, then we move the tracker down by 1. If the heroes defeat a Thanos card, it goes down by 1. If either side pushes the opponent all the way down, then that side wins. Thanos also has another way of winning the game, which is by finding all of the Infinity Gems. After you play a card, it goes face up in front of you. If Thanos ever has 6 Infinity gem cards in front of himself and or in his hand, say 4 are face up in front of himself and 2 in his hand, then he reveals the hand and Thanos also wins the game. What is the takeaway from this? That the heroes need to pummel Thanos in the face as fast and quickly as possible before the big guy finds all of the cards. The cards are similar to what you have in other love letter games, but of course here with different art, with a lot of cool Marvel superhero art. Each card has a numerical value printed there in the top left corner, and a game effect which is resolved when you play that card. Each hero player has a hand of 1 card, and at the beginning of their turn they draw a second card, choose one, play face up in front of themselves, resolve the written text, and their turn is over. The Thanos player has 2 cards in their hand. At the beginning of their turn they draw 1, they play 1 in front of themselves, resolve the effect, and they will have 2 at the end. As for the effects, we have nice play arrays that tell us what they are. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read the effects for the heroes and the effects for the Thanos player. If you play love letter games, it's similar to other games that have more of an attack element. So, for example, their effects say, call a number. If the opponent has a card of that number, the card is defeated. Boom, and it goes there. When you defeat a card, it goes face up in front of you. When you fight a card, when you play a card that has that triggers an effect, if it's a hero starting that, so there's a card that you play down that says fight Thanos, then you will fight with the card that you still have in your hand, and you will indicate one of the two cards that Thanos have, randomly selected. You compare the numbers. Whoever has the lowest number has lost the fight, and the card is defeated goes face up in front of them, and again you keep track of that defeating. If it is Thanos starting the fight, then one card starts the fight, and then they choose which card they want to use to attack, and the heroes only have one card in hand when it's not their turn, and so they'll be forced to use that card. And then other things such as look at cards of the opponent, look at cards in the deck, manipulate the order there. You may also earn boost tokens that will give you a +2 in combat. If you have boost tokens when you are fighting, you must use one per combat. And so this is pretty much the general idea. Again, very similar to the general concept that we have in Love Letter. Play a card, draw a card, now you have a hand of 2, and play 1, resolve the effect, and you keep moving, but with the main difference of these two different decks, and also this direct combat, the boost tokens, but also very important, no direct player elimination. Now, in Love Letter, sometimes the game ends with last player standing, so yes, you do have the dreaded direct player elimination. However, the game lasts 5-10 minutes, so if I was eliminated in minute 5 and the game lasts 8, I'm gonna be okay with that. Love Letter is one of the few games where I'm perfectly happy with player elimination. Here, you don't even have that, and the game still lasts 10, 12 minutes, 15 maybe. But you don't even have that, because being defeated, when as a hero your card is defeated, you keep track of that, you discard it, face up in front of you, and you draw another one. So actually players are engaged the entire time, and I think that is nice. Again, doesn't cast any negative light on the original game because it was so short. But here you have a short and tight game with that Love Letter feel, but everybody is engaged the entire time. Generally speaking, this is a really strong design. Early on when we started playing it and I was Thanos, I was always winning, and I started wondering if that side was a little too strong. And look, if you draw, you have a really lucky draw and you draw a ton of infinity cards early on, it's going to be very hard for the heroes to defeat you. But in general, then at other times, I was still playing Thanos. Yeah, I play Thanos most of the time, so I don't know why my daughters see me in that light. But that means that they are working together. I'm never going to pass on any opportunity for those two to work together. Those two sisters they love each other like sisters do, which is, at a distance, doesn't look much like love. So every opportunity for teamwork is great. So, when they ganged up against me, they could effectively pound my super villainous army in the face effectively enough to get me to lose those points before I collected all of the gems. So it's a strong game. The effects will be very familiar to you, so you can pick it up easily. In general, it is a simple game. But especially if you play Love Letter, then you will be playing it a heartbeat. And yet it doesn't feel just like a superficial cosmetic reskinning, not like other sets in which basically you change the art, they change the text a little bit, but it feels a little too derivative. Only a sucker collector such as myself would buy all of those sets. This is one that you can buy as a gamer. If you love the original game, then you have one that has a little more meat, lasts a little longer, but again, maybe 15 minutes instead of 10. Keeps everybody around the table in time, which again kids like very much. So it can be a perfect intergenerational game because I played it with my kids only. It's times of quarantine 2020. I don't have game night with my adult friends, but I could definitely play this one. I could see myself playing this one as a filler, a game night with my adult friends without any problem at all. So it has all of the advantages of the traditional love letter with a little more strategy, a little more story, a little more structure. Again, not to the point that it makes it any less, anything more, anything different than a filler. It makes it just a slightly meatier, more flavorful filler. It has the beauty and elegance of love letter with a really cool theme, really nice art, and again, a little more depth, a little more structure. So generally speaking, I'm very happy with Infinity Gauntlet. I wanted to hold the box, a little cute. Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game. It also travels well. You can also bring in camping if you go camping, like I originally intended, which is why I bought the game. So really nice package. A lot of fun in a small package, which we've seen in love letters before, and I'm happy to report that we can see it in this new chapter of the saga also.